Welcome to Australia, welcome to the mountain, and welcome to the most difficult possible place to crown a champion in the motorsports world. The Precision Racing League GT3 series, both the fixed and the sprint series, prepare to do battle and crown a pair of champions tonight. My name is Joey Tebbett. Alongside me in the booth for this final round of the season is Dylan Coyle, and behind the scenes is our producer Dane Baird. We're going to get straight into the racing action though today, Dylan. It is championship finale day, and there are 4 drivers, maybe even 5, depending on how things go, in mathematical contention for the championship today in the GT3 Fix Series.
Yeah, well, mathematical contention does not always mean theoretical contention, right? You got drivers who can do it, but in practice, it's going to take a lot, especially when we get going here in GT3 Fixed Series Racing. That's going to be the first one. That's going to be the first race we see. Once they go up the mountain straight into Griffin's Bend, it's going to be all craziness up the hill.
I should say it's actually 6 drivers in mathematical contention because, of course, the lead driver in the championship is Raya Osborne. He's in the championship lead. You don't really think of him as being behind. He's going to start on pole here at Bathurst. Alongside him will be Jim Feliz. He's still in mathematical contention. He is 53 points behind Osborne in the championship, though. He needs Osborne to have a bad day and some of his other championship rivals to do the same. Jared Keane will start third. William Fenson, he's won a race this season. He starts alongside him. And then Tyler Graff and Brett Thurman round out the top 6 on the grid. P7, a little bit lower, went to Rob Campbell. He's currently second in the championship, needs to outscore his Raya Osborne by 32 points today if he wants to win the championship. He starts alongside Devin Brock, and then Joe Carnes and Felix Feliz round out the top 10. Defending winner Shreyas Venkataraju, he won his first race last week. He starts alongside Peter Mahler, looking to finish out the season on a high. Unlucky 13th went to defending champion Jeff Carollo. He's alongside Ian Cabana. Andrew Trickett and Andrew Ellis are all Andrews on row number 8. Sully Saad is going to be disappointed to be down in 17th. So is Dale Peterson. Buck Hamilton, Luke Davis, David Morse, Christopher Rhines, Jared Deploy, and Alex Wright make a whole bunch of SRT and lunatic drivers to the end of the top 24. The hits keep on coming. Mackenzie and Johnson on row 13. Berquist and Alexander, 2 orange cars on row 14. Robert Jeffries and Travis Pruitt round out the top 30. Walden, DeWeese, Mulholland, Morales, and a whole host of others. 38 cars prepare to do battle here at Bathurst. Dylan, we've only got a few corners to go before we prepare to crown our first champions of the night.
It's going to be a lot of fun as they all come around the chase on the turn 22, that final straight before this 90-degree left-hander at Murray's Corner. Man, this is going to be so much fun. Bathurst is beautiful, and we're about to see some great GT3 racing here.
It's going to be a race between 6 drivers, and it's going to be a race against the track. We are racing on the mountain for the final time this season as Raya Osborne leads the field into turn 1. Jim Feliz slots in line, but they're side by side for third as William Fenson in the Ferrari tries to make it work the long way around. He's going to be side by side with the SRT Porsche down this front straight for the first time. And who's going to be later on the brakes coming into turn 2? Osborne's in control. Feliz is in control a second, but behind that, Dylan, it's all heating up.
Yeah, it is all getting quite wild. I mean, the top 2 are starting to break away. This is such a difficult corner to get right, and now going up the mountain. I said hill earlier. Yeah, it's not a hill. It is Mount Panorama here. It's going to be a lot of fun.
And Jared Keane did win out, or William Fenson rather, did win out in that battle against Jared Keane. Fenson up onto the podium, but now we stratify out single file through Quarry, turns 5 and 6, Reed Park and Frog Hollow, hopping over the top of the hill. This is where you start to build up that speed, and then it becomes immensely difficult as we start to fall back down the mountain through Solomon Park, then through McPhillamy Park as well, and into Skyline and the S's, the most difficult corners on this track. We saw last week, Dylan, in the Formula D series, a little bit of trouble here on lap 1. Everybody in these Porsches and other GT3 cars trying not to do the same thing.
Yeah, it's really difficult to make it through when a mess happens just in front of you with so many cars here. You might see an Austin Powers 20,000 point maneuver to get out of a tight corner.
But so far, it looks like everybody's made it through lap 1, at least in the top 20 or so. I haven't seen any trouble deeper in the field either, though. So everybody doing a very good job of surviving this place. Everybody came into this round a little bit fearful, as it is sort of halfway into a street circuit. There's concrete walls, there's minimal margin for error. And it seems like the drivers of the GT3 Fix Series have been very much up for that challenge. You can see all the way to the back straight there. Everybody's still moving in a straight line.
Yeah, and that's really encouraging for how the rest of this race will go. Only 35 minutes, and it's going to go by very quickly. I feel like Feliz has definitely pulled that little gap that Osborne had in the opening sector of lap 1. Osborne's, I think, not as quick as he wants to be right now.
And talking about the championship is Raya Osborne, as I mentioned, currently has a 32-point lead in the championship over Rob Campbell. If you're wondering what he has to do to win the championship, first and foremost, he has to finish the race. If you don't complete 50% of the laps in a Precision Racing League event on a road course, you don't get points for that event. It's counted as a DNF, and you can't drop the final round. So he does have to finish, but if he wants to mathematically seal this championship, he needs to score, I believe, 25 points, which would mean a 26th place finish. As long as he doesn't lose 25 spots over the next 32 minutes, Raya Osborne will be your champion. But that's very much easier said than done, as Jim Feliz right behind him has gotten into some trouble of his own. He's going to fall out of the top 10.
Yep, and great job by everyone so far to get around him, but going 2 by 2, and it's going to force Feliz to go even farther off course. He goes into the gravel, he toes back. That is a horrible way to potentially, not just potentially, but definitely have any championship hopes dissipate. Look at Carollo around.
Carollo. Yeah, Jeff Carollo spun. I think maybe got a little bit of target fixation, clipped the curb on exit, and he's had even more trouble. It has not been a season to remember for Jeff Carollo. He did win a race, but it all came undone here in the final round. Here's what happened to Jim Feliz.
Wow.
And look at that avoidance from Tyler Graff. That was terrifying, and I think he got away with it.
Was that more of just luck dealing its cards, or, oh, look at that, as just a stack up, and that accordion effect takes Carollo into the wall twice, bouncing off of it? I think that earlier avoidance was more of just luck kind of dealing its cards as Feliz slid around and just somehow, some way, didn't get hit by anybody else. But he's, that's a shame.
Tyler Graff, always the painter, always the artist, debuting a new livery tonight with some bright blues and some bright reds. And I imagine there might be some dark browns inside that car now, too.
Well, depends what he ate the night before.
Yeah, it could be green. We never know. But he's survived a brush with death.
That's wild.
And now he's going to be looking forward for the rest of the race. He's going to be looking directly at Jared Keane, maybe thinking about the podium. I don't know if it's going to be a championship conversation for Tyler Graff, but it can now be a conversation for potentially finishing third or even second in the championship. Jeff Carollo is only 6 points ahead of Tyler Graff in the championship. Tyler's outscoring him by a whole bunch of points right now. He could be looking at the top 3 at the end of the season.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, right, top 2 is definitely in the asking for somebody like, Tyler Graff, and Rob Campbell obviously holding P2 right now. He's running in 6th place. It's going to take a lot for a driver like Graff to catch up and, pass for good, but he's doing what he has to do right now.
And you look at the ticker on the side of your screen, and you can see only 2 drivers. Only those 2 drivers that we saw were involved in incidents in the early running. It was Carollo and it was the SRT Porsche. But let's ride on board with Tyler Graff here as he avoids that SRT Porsche of Jim Feliz. Wow. And it doesn't get any less scary riding on board.
No, it does not. That was quite intimidating for everyone in behind, but they did a really solid job, right? It's hard to do anything. Usually you get a car spinning in that uphill, I hate saying uphill, up mountain, down mountain part of this Bathurst course. You usually get a big pile up. That did not happen. And 1 car each, pretty solid.
That is a tough question. When does a hill become a mountain? When does a mountain become a hill? I'm not a geographer. I don't know.
Is a geographer? A geographer?
A geographist?
Giraffe.
I mean, if anybody at home is a giraffe, please give us a call and tell us, because I don't know where the cutoff is. When's a mountain a hill and when's a hill a mountain? I do know that Devin Brock is having one of his best days in quite a while. Maybe living up to that name, Peter Brock, one of the kings of the mountain here at Bathurst, doing a good job. Andrew Rasmussen hasn't quite had the same luck in the chicane, loops it around in that Audi. No other drivers involved, but Rasmussen takes a little bit of a setback.
Well, if you'd like an answer, there's actually no official difference between hills and mountains. It used to be classified in the mid-20th century in the UK and the US as summits less than 1,000 feet being hills. That is no longer the case, so it is up to our discretion.
Look at that. I always knew you were a giraffe, Dylan.
I am... Never mind.
Good stuff there. But as I was saying about Devin Brock, that is a very, very brightly colored car. I'm a big fan of that, and he is living up to the Brock family name. I don't believe there's any relation, but it may be a little bit of luck as he is hunting down Rob Campbell. Campbell has won a race this season, won at Road Atlanta just a couple of weeks ago, and he's looking to the inside of Brett Thurman, who does not look like he's driving a very healthy Porsche. Is there damage on that car, and is that the second SRT Porsche to run into trouble coming down the mountain?
I mean, it definitely appears that there is some trouble, but we'll have to see. Looks like he's back up to speed, running just in behind here for Thurman, so we'll see if he's able to keep up with pace, but this looks to be a good passing opportunity if Brock's able to get to the inside in the chase. He does not. So dangerous to make a move and to go side by side there, so he elected not to. Smart move for now.
Oh my goodness! Felix Feliz tumbling coming into the chase. What on earth happened there? Feliz lands on his wheels. Joe Carnes was involved as well, but that was a bizarre sight to see in the background of that picture, and I have no idea how Felix Feliz ended up in that situation. Here it is.
He... Holy guacamole!
That is the grippiest of grip rolls.
I mean, hey, sometimes it just digs in there. I think they're going to pave over that. Look at that. Wow.
Felix Feliz. He turns into I don't even know what that is. He turns into a
pirouetting Porsche.
A pirouetting Porsche, precisely.
Ha!
I can't think of any other a centrifuge. Anything else that rotates fast? That was tough stuff for him. I think Nick Johnson may have gotten into some trouble as well behind that. Maybe he stared too closely at the spinning sphere and thought the worst.
I mean, well done on our identical exclamations to that wreck happening in the background, by the way.
I mean, what else can you do? You see Felix Feliz 10 feet in the air?
That was crazy. It's just normal moment at the chase.
I think that's the first roll we've seen this season. I don't believe there's been one yet.
I don't think we're ever going to see one bigger than that.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty tough unless we have an oval race and we go to Talladega in these cars. I don't think we're ever going to beat that. But Joe Carnes has been able to get going again. He got a little bit scared, definitely had a little bit of contact and a little bit of damage with Felix Feliz there, but that Ferrari is still moving and still looks fairly healthy, and he's going to try and recover that top 10 where he was just a couple of moments ago.
Here's a replay of going into the chase.
This is Andrew Ellis seeing it in front of him. I think he actually avoids the tumbling Felix. Or no, he just sees it. He sees it in the very, very far distance as he's still tumbling.
This is not good. Flying through the air. Wow. I mean, that's
one on the highlight reel.
That's one of the most incredible wrecks I've ever seen on iRacing, not even just in, obviously GT competition. That's got to stand up as one of the biggest ones ever. Is this an onboard? This
is Joe Carnes. Felix Feliz coming up. And that's what caused it. Hard to say who was really at fault there, though.
It looks like a normal. Oh, look at that. Good view in the screen.
Yeah, you could just see him in the rear view camera there. And I can't even imagine what Joe was thinking there.
Well, I'd like to potentially get sick by watching it, so if we can get another specific view.
Oh, you know that producer Dane is working the highlight reels right now.
You know he's doing it.
We got David Morse first and foremost. He's run into some trouble of his own in the final corner with one of the lunatic Ferraris to the inside. And I don't think there was actually any contact there. There is a spun David Morse, though.
Yeah, it's just, oh goodness, 3 wide heading into turn 1 and Singapore Formula 1 vibes.
Jeff Corolla with an SRT strike making contact with 2 of the SRT Porsches in one go.
Not having a good day.
I think he's brought it back down pit lane. He's going to get some more damage repaired, but we will, if I'm not mistaken, see Jeff Corolla next season. Yes, we will. I'm just looking at the signups now. Unfortunately, I do have to reveal to the people at home that if you want to race in the PRL GT3 Fix Series next season, you're not going to be able to. Signups are now full. 55 drivers have already registered. That's how popular this series is, and you're going to see many of these names coming back next season to fight for more glory. Jeff Carollo is one of them. He's going to be looking to go back to his winning ways.
It's a beautiful thing, though, right? You want to see that many people participating in PRL events. There's so many that enjoy GT racing. It's one of the more accessible styles of road racing on the surface today, and obviously it's always growing, always getting updated as the years go on. Obviously, you've seen iRacing make some news with TCR vehicles earlier today, so
yeah.
Always growing. Love it.
Always
from
growing.
iRacing. Oh, look at this.
We're growing a battle here. Sully Saad defending into the final corner. He's going to live on for another moment. No move made there by the Lunatic Ferrari. But there are signups open, I should say, for every other series in the PRL. The GT3 Sprint Series, that's coming up later tonight. That is very much open. It's open setup competition, slightly higher level in terms of the drivers, more experience in the field, but there's only 21 drivers signed up for that. We're going to fill that field up, and if you want to race in all three fields of NASCAR competition, there's spots open there. LMP3 GT4, GTP LMP2, and Formula D and Super Formula, they're all open. It's Waldo Walden has a little bit of a lazy incident into the wall.
Almost a poor rejoin right there, held up at the last moment. So good on Walden for recognizing that as they move up the hill. If you see anything, if you start to cream into the wall, it's actually easier going up the mountain to just hit the brakes because of gravity. Here's what we all want to see.
Oof.
Sun, grass, asphalt, grass, clouds.
But does the car still drive is the question. I don't think Felix even bothered to stay in it for long enough to see. I think he realized his day was probably over and just said, you know what, I'm towing back to the pits.
It was just spectacular, stupendous, the pirouetting Porsche. Oh, goodness. We do love our art here on RaceSpotTV. And speaking about art, this is a very recognizable sandwich that we're currently watching the 79 machine in between with these Lambos of Alex Wright and Luke Davis.
Yeah, Alex Wright is the second of the two. He is behind Sully Saad. Luke Davis is ahead, and those are very, very familiar liveries, Dylan, but they're also different liveries because they seem to be able to find a way to change these liveries every other week. There's a new design, there's a new color, there's some sort of new template. I don't know what's actually going on with the Lunatic Ferraris right now. I think we might need to take a closer look because it looks like they're just covered in stickers now, and I don't even know what that is.
It truly does look that way. I know some NASCAR drivers have, put a bunch of random stickers on maybe their deck lid or their rear bumper, just, as a thank you to fans. But this feels like overkill, but I love it.
I love overkill with stickers, but I also love overkill with sponsors, and we didn't get to do this because we came on the air so quickly, but I do have to thank everybody who makes everything possible here in the Precision Racing League. We'll start that out with Advanced Sim Racing. Owned and operated by passionate sim racers, Advanced Sim Racing designs and builds the sturdiest and most durable aluminum profile racing simulation cockpits available in the market today. All PRL members also get a 5% discount on ASR products using the Precision 5 coupon code. Racebox Sim Racing offers mid and high-end button boxes for sim racing enthusiasts, from the casual gamer up to the most meticulous sim racing driver. Competitively priced and carefully handcrafted, their button boxes are an enjoyable addition to any sim racing setup. Visit raceboxsimracing.com and also get a 5% discount, also using the Precision 5 coupon code. This coverage is also brought to you by The Butt Kicker. Butt Kicker products add incredible immersion and realism to every game. Feel every nuance and truly put yourself in the driver's seat with The Butt Kicker. Moradness is a performance lifestyle brand motivated by motorsport and founded by professional race car driver and two-time Rolex 24 winner Daniel Morad. For more information, visit moradness.com. Mr. Hedge iRacing Photography. Capture your finest, proudest, or simply worst moments from your hobby in up to 8K resolution. A great addition to any sim room. And Advanced Motorsports. Get ready to learn to be fast with Advanced Motorsports. Follow them on their socials to become a better driver. Thanks to all of those who make everything possible here at the PRL. Always thankful for our sponsors, and thankful that we're getting to about halfway in this race, Dylan. Pit stop's starting to come around. We did see our first taker a couple of laps ago with Brett Thurman bringing it down pit lane. We do have to start asking, when's the rest of the field going to come in? Is it almost time?
I mean, you've got to imagine that these drivers, unless they're embroiled in a strong bit of competition right now and they're feeling like they can go faster in clean air, I would almost say they're going to wait until this tank is completely run dry, give or take 1 or 2 at most laps. But these laps are long at Bathurst, and would it be shocked to see them come in now, especially if you're a driver like Dale Peterson, third in view in this battle right here? You're not getting any time sitting in back. And look at that, a little bit wide for Andrew Trickett going up the mountain here. That might hurt everyone else in behind and, again, make them think more about pitting now.
And it gets hard in this stage of the race because in the Precision Racing League, in the GT3 Fix Series, if you're going to make a pit stop, you're going to pit for fuel. There's just not really enough time in the race or enough wear in the tires to make changing tires worth it. So you're going to be putting fuel in the car, and the only way you're going to pull off an undercut is if you find clean air and the driver ahead of you finds traffic. So if you're Raya Osborne in the lead right now, you don't really have anything to gain. You can only end up in traffic by pitting. If you're somebody in this battle, though, you might have a better incentive. Travis Pruitt, he might want to minimize his losses, though, after spinning coming up the hill. He might think about pitting right now, maybe to fix that body panel as well.
Yeah, that's a really solid thought. But with so much limited time remaining in this race, do you really want to spend any more time fixing damage? Especially if it's not hurting you completely in how fast your car is? I don't know if that's the move.
That is the question. Lead driver in this train, by the way, Andrew Ellis, talking about drivers who will be taking on some other Precision Racing League competition, as we'll get to that a little bit later. One of the lunatic Ferraris has finally run into a little bit of trouble. That's Alex Wright, who unfortunately has gotten things Alex wrong coming into the chase. Yeah,
just totally overcooked that, trying to turn into the left on turn 21, but unfortunate for him, he didn't take out anybody with that a little bit of late braking right there, which is solid. But 15 and a half minutes to go. What a good battle, and we see in the pits decided to bring his Lambo down.
A couple of takers, the Ferraris of Luke Davis and Buck Hamilton, they are going to take their service and hope to find some clean air in the back of the field. As I was mentioning, though, Dylan, Andrew Ellis, he won't be returning to this field next season, as he's actually said, I'm going to sign up for the new toys in the PRL. He's going to be racing on Thursday nights in the new Super Formula Series, which I think is going to be very, very exciting. A new car added to the Precision Racing League lineup, and the fastest one we have now.
Oh, yeah. That's going to be quite awesome, quite exciting for Super Formula Racing, and it's a very difficult to drive race car. It's one of the fastest open wheel cars on the service. And in my opinion, in the real world of Super Formula Racing, it's one of the more underrated open wheel styles. It just needs to have a bigger presence outside of Japan. And I think that would be amazing if some of the Western countries of the world were able to be more exposed to Super Formula.
I'm pretty excited for this year because Ritomo Miata, Super Formula champion of last year. He'll be racing in Formula 2 this year. Should hopefully get some extra eyeballs on that. And of course, through the power of iRacing, anybody can drive a Super Formula car in the virtual world now. And I can't be more excited. There's so many drivers signed up for that series as well who are exciting. You've got all the all-stars of open wheel racing in the PRL. You've got some Lionheart names coming over, like Tyler Graff is not going to be one of them, but Hugo Galaz and Alex Guyon and a whole host of others. Tyler Graff is down pit lane, though, and he's going to be followed by Andrew Trickett, Peter Mahler, Ian Cabana, and a few others. It is pit cycle time. It's starting to kick off.
I mean, it's going to happen within the next 2.5 minutes, where most of the field, if not all the field, has brought themselves down into pit lane. I will say, kudos to Fenson for still sticking within just over a second back of the 7 of Osborne for the lead of this race. It's not over for this race. It's probably over for the championship by far.
If you're wondering who's driving that Audi, it is Dale Peterson. He might not be in a highlight or yellow car anymore. He's gone slightly more muted. He's gone for a black majority and some highlight or yellow highlights. But that is still Dale Peterson, and we will be seeing him back next season. And I gotta say, honestly, selfishly, I hope he goes back to the highlight or yellow look. That was very differentiable, and it was a beautiful color. And I hope we see him in a slightly brighter car next season again.
Well, you know what? The highlighter look is always fun to see, but I don't mind that muted look that he's got going on right now. More of a, hey, I'm here, but I don't need to be flashy. My results are going to speak for themselves. Maybe
that was
not
a bit
the best
flashy.
time. Yeah, maybe not the best time to say about results. He goes a little bit wide coming down the mountain right there, and we'll see how he does around Forest Elbow to set him up for this long straightaway. He's got some competition from Carnes right there.
And Joe Carnes in his recovery drive after being involved in the great Felix Feliz orbiting incident. He's looking to maybe get himself back up into the top 10 after things shake out. As of right now, he is fighting for P8, but there are drivers who have pitted ahead of that group. We're still waiting to see how they cycle out. The leaders are in, though, as Raya Osborne is down pit lane. William Fenson from second follows him in. Jared Keene is in as well. That sounds like we're starting to reach the hard end of these fuel tanks, Dylan, and these are going to be the critical stops for our leaders.
Yep, going to be critical for everyone. They're all coming into pit lane right now, and hey, it's all about just getting through this little chicane and get down pit lane. It's probably the most difficult pit lane entry you'll see over the course of this GT3 series. And of course, it has to come in the last race, right? They got to deal with it. And so far,
William Fenson, sorry, Dylan, has jumped his Raya Osborne in the pits. A little bit longer of a stop for Osborne, potentially putting too much fuel in the car. He's lost out to William Fenson. He almost lost out to Jared Keene as well.
My goodness, thank you for interrupting me there. It's an important interruption to make. I almost was going to say that Osborne maybe took enough fuel while Fenson did not, but that would also mean Keene did the same thing. I agree with you. Look at that pit lane time, but there are wildly different times here. Venkataraju, too. 13 seconds.
Yeah, is Raya Osborne definitely the outlier here, but that is a very possible thing to do. When you don't have to fill up the tank to make it to the end of a race, when you make a pit stop this late, it's always possible to make a calculation wrong or click a button incorrectly. And as Raya Osborne may have just done that, it may lose him the race today. It's not going to lose him the championship. He's currently 54 points ahead of William Fenson in the championship, but it may not be the total glory he wanted in the final race because he's going to have to fight for second for the rest of the day as things are going.
And it wasn't like Fenson was losing ground to Osborne either. He was definitely staying within that 1.2 second range and was closing at other times. We'll see if Osborne has what it takes to catch back up to Fenson here, but he's got to worry about the defense of Jared Keene.
And also recently announced in the Precision Racing League, not just that signups are open for every series except this one, but the PRL All-Star Invitational will be returning. Winners from this season and last season in every PRL series are going to be meeting on track. So you're going to see William Fenson, Isaiah Osborne, Rob Campbell, Shreyas Venkataraju meeting with the drivers of the GT3 Sprint Series and the GTPL MP2 Series and the NASCAR-style Grand National Series. They're all going to meet in the same track, Dylan, and it's going to be an exciting event yet again.
Yeah, and that's going to be quite thrilling. I know you've got a big involvement in making that All-Star Invitational happen. What are you looking forward to most from it?
I just love the blend of the skills because you have two sides to the PRL. You have the oval side with the Cup Series, the Truck Series, and the Grand National Series. You have the road side with everything else. There's frequently crossover. There's drivers who do both, like Abner Acosta and Bradley Holly and a few others, but you never see all of them on track at the same time, which is why I was so excited to bring this event back again.
Yeah, it's quite fun to see drivers of different disciplines try to all race on the same circuit, and sometimes it creates that perfect concoction of brilliance when it comes to drivers showing their skills in a different car, but on a circuit that maybe fits their strengths. I'm thinking right now in the real world, oh no! Hold on.
That's the lunatic Audi.
Hold my thought.
Big trouble there. Towing back to the pits, actually. Now Shreyas Venkataraju and Brett Thurman are going to be side by side coming up the mountain. They resolve that fairly quickly, but that was some big trouble for the lunatic Audi. Jim Feliz behind as well is in trouble. It actually wasn't the Audi that started it. It was Rob Campbell in the Porsche in the first place. He loops it around. Devin Brock comes onto the scene and gets involved, and there's the Audi.
It's a completely blind corner going up that part of the mountain, and once you're kind of dealing with, you know, that blind left-hand turn of the cutting, it's kind of game over if there's a car stopped there. Remember, Austin Powers, that's exactly what we saw.
And Rob Campbell did tow back to the pits there, so it was a long shot for him to win the championship today. His day is going to come to an end coming up through the cutting. We've seen this happen so many times today, and Rob Campbell is yet another victim.
Wow. That's quite a shame, but I mean, you've had so many championship contenders already. It was looking like a small opportunity to get back to Osborne's lead as, oh, that's a dangerous look down the inside in the chase. Goodness me.
There's Ian Cabana on Dale Peterson. Joe Carnes is riding behind, just looking for a mistake from either of these guys to be able to pounce. And by the way, on the topic of Rob Campbell, now that both he and Jeff Carollo have come back to the pits, Tyler Graff is now very easily going to be second in the Drivers' Championship as things stand. So he's going to be very happy with that. Drew DeWeese is not going to be very happy. He's been manning the Mercedes on his own all season long, and it also has not done him well through the cutting.
Did they just deal with the same exact issue
in two different cars? Is there Australian oil down there? Is that what's going on through there?
Well,
it's on the other side of the track too for Ryan Luna.
Yeah, Luna struggling with it. Oh, look at that. Just barely going under the front back wing or rear wing, excuse me. And yeah, that's kind of what happens there.
Yeah, I think that was Drew DeWeese coming onto the scene. Unfortunately, both ends of the track, he ran into trouble, whether it was his own or whether it was a spun car. He's going to be looking forward to getting out of Australia. We're not out of Australia yet, though. 6 minutes to go in this race, a few laps to go. If you're in a battle like this, Dylan, where you've been stuck behind a car for many, many laps, you need to pounce very quickly, or you need to hope for a mistake. Waldo Walden, my goodness, talk about avoidance.
Right under the rear wing, too. That was quite impressive, but look at this, going through Skyline, potentially going side by side. Here's another replay of Andrew Rasmussen. They're all just losing it now. It's almost like the tires are, you know, finally, after 9 races, showing that they do wear on this in GT3 cars.
Everybody's going insane in Australia. You'll see Andrew Rasmussen, by the way, in the All-Star Invitational as well. He won in GT4 last season in one of the craziest finishes ever in the PRL. So he's not at the best day today, but he's had some glory of his own in the PRL. Speaking of glory, William Fenson may have taken the lead after a mistake from Isaiah Osborne, but he was hounding him all day, and this is a home race for William Fenson, the driver from Sydney, Australia, racing at who knows what time it is there right now, but he's looking for home glory today, and he's only a few laps away from potentially being able to do it.
Yeah, that's quite impressive. I'm sure Fenson has a lot of experience racing at Bathurst over the course of his sim racing career, but it's not like Osborne is completely not within the realm of getting back to Fenson. These laps are going to be long. 5 minutes is going to feel like 5 hours here. But Fenson's just been so solid and calm. That's that one thing. But that gap did come down 2/10 in Sector 1 there.
You want to talk about two different stories of drivers? William Fenson, the Australian, he's a burger restaurant owner. That's what he does in his free time, or in his work time, I should say. That's what he does for a living. Isaiah Osborne behind, a little bit younger, and his story actually starts in remote control racing. We talked about this at the start of the season. He actually said that helped him a little bit. Learning the ways of racing through remote control racing with remote control cars has seemed to have helped him a little bit here, and it may deliver him a championship in his first time of asking in the PRL.
That's quite incredible as well. You know, it's I know Justin Haley in NASCAR competition is a big fan of RC car racing as well. And they probably have that in common then. I've never done it, RC racing.
No, I've obviously driven an RC car before, like as a kid, but have you ever seen like the professional RC races?
It's crazy.
They're so fast, and they're always like extremely entertaining. And that commentator, Scotty Ernst, who calls all of the RC races, we all bow to him. He is one of the best commentators in the world. It is so entertaining.
I guess I do not know about Scotty.
You gotta go to Red RC Live. That's not a promotion because they're very separate from RaceSpot. If you watch some of those races, that is phenomenal stuff.
Well, I guess I know what I'm doing after the GT3 sprint race. And
I cannot encourage it enough.
By the way, we do have another longer race. So let's look at Ryan's replay. I'm sure he overcooks it. Yes, that's exactly what happens. Very lazy, but it's okay because, well, now he's got to put it in reverse.
A little bit of a J turn.
A little bit.
Turns it around, gets it going, and he'll keep it pointed straight, but a little bit more trouble than he would have liked. Turn 1 is usually 1 corner. Unfortunately for him, it was about 5. I think there's been a little bit more trouble deep in the pack as behind Joe Carnes, we've had an extra pit stop for Sully Saad, who's falling down the order. He's actually not made a pit stop. He's just fallen down. They were almost 3 wide there, Dylan, for a moment, and that never works.
Nope, never works unless you're 3 wide on a straightaway and go to 2 wide coming into a corner here. This is uncomfortable. Not a good place to go 2 wide. You're going to be forced up the track, but kept it out of the wall, kept position. There's a big run in behind, though, by that 79 Porsche.
This is the battle for the top 16. Alex Wright is able to hold them off, and he'll keep motoring forward as they battle behind him, Jared Deploy and Sully Saad. William Fenson this time, though, is going to take the white flag with a 2.4 second lead over Uriah Osborne. He is holding this race in control, and he can even afford to back off a little bit if he needs to. But you have to make sure, Dylan, not to be complacent, because this is a track that will punish even the smallest mistake, and Fenson, I don't think, is ever going to be truly comfortable unless he reaches the final corner in 1 lap's time.
Yeah, it's a case of, Bathurst can rear its ugly head even in the final corner. We've seen a few cars loop it under the slowest of speeds right here, but I mean, Fenson's got 2.5 seconds to give. He doesn't have to push completely hard, but Osborne has lost time by pushing it really, really hard, and Keen's actually caught up to Osborne. I mean, this is Fenson's race to lose.
And Jared is going to be keen to make a move on Osborne if he gets the opportunity. Is the draft going to give him any help, though, or is it too diminished to make that move actually work? Fenson drives off into the distance, but you look in the background, about 3/10 separating Osborne and Keen, 2/10 now coming into turn 2. Keen's not close enough to go for a move just yet, but you do have to wonder, when is his final opportunity going to come?
I mean, he's right there. There is no question that Keen's going to try and make a lunge at one point. At this point of the track, it's all going to come down to how close he is coming towards the chase. I mean, that's going to be the longest straightaway. He's going to have a big toe. He's got to get a good exit, though, coming around Forest Elbow.
Half a lap to go for Fenson in the Ferrari. He's already won his first race in the PRL this season. It happened at the Roval, which was a crazy race in its own right. I couldn't even tell you how many crashes there were on lap 1, but Fenson avoided all the chaos, avoided all the drama, and took his first win in the PRL. And we come to Bathurst, the scariest track of all. Every driver was worried coming into this final round, and he has mastered the mountain. Coming out of Forest Elbow for the final time. He's only got 3 more quarters to go before he can take win number 2. He's got to look in the rearview mirror, though. Uriah Osborne has made up 7/10 just in this lap alone. Can Fenson hang on for 3 more corners?
Oh, yeah, no question. Osborne was flying, but Fenson was using all of that 2.5 second buffer he has built up. So far, so good. Just a few more corners to go, and Keen's not going to catch Osborne either.
Through the chase for the final time. It's a straight line and a 90-degree corner for William Fenson now. He came into this season racing in Australia on the other side of the world. It's 1 p.m. for him right now, and it's going to be a very happy rest of the afternoon because William Fenson ends the season on a high and wins his home race at Bathurst. But even happier, potentially, is going to be Uriah Osborne in second. He may have lost this race on a bad pit stop, may have lost too much time, but he is still going to dominantly win this championship. And in his first time of asking, Uriah Osborne is a champion of the PRL in the GT3 Fix Series.
Really awesome drive from Osborne all year. I mean, hey, even in this race, yes, it's not a win and a championship, but it is a respectable run once again. He's been so calm and collected, and good on him to keep P2, but it's all about William Fenson as well. What a win.
What a win for him. We'll be back in just a couple of moments. Got to thank the people who make this all possible, but when we come back, finishing results of this race, interviews with the winners, and a whole nother race coming up in the GT3 Sprint Series. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more.
Ever witnessed someone so fast on track you doubt you could ever be on their level? The mission of Advanced Motorsports is to demonstrate the speed is achievable for everyone. With the expertise of some of the best sim drivers in North America, we are set to release free content on social media and comprehensive guides on our website. For those seeking the ultimate experience, our Advanced Motorsport Institute and personalized coaching sessions are the way to go. No matter your level of experience, we invite you to follow us on our social media to learn to be fast.
With the Butt Kicker Gamer 2, what you see and what you hear is what you feel. Butt Kicker. The future is feeling.
Series. Sign-ups open for every series other than the GT3 Fix series. You could have me or Dylan or any other of RaceSpot's cast of characters calling your name next season if you want to get involved. But we've got two big names here with us. We've got a winner of the race and a winner of the championship. And we will start with the winner of the race. His home glory will get him first. William Fenson. Are you a little bit shocked right now? And second behind Osborne for the first stint, but after the pit cycle, it all went your way.
Yeah, it did. I told him he's got to get rid of that pit crew next season. But big congrats to Raya. He got the season. He was the fastest for the whole season. He was fastest today. He was just unlucky there in the pits.
But how good does this feel? It's your home race, your virtual home track. Were you circling this one as one you really wanted to win before the start of the season?
I actually did. But then I got in the session today and everyone was up to speed after the 12-hour last week. I think a lot of people got their practice in. But yeah, I definitely wanted it, and I'll take it.
Well, William, congrats on your second win in the PRL. We'll see you in a couple of weeks for next season, or actually we'll see you in just a couple of weeks for the All-Star Invitational coming up in a couple of weeks.
See you there. Thanks, guys.
William Fenson coming home with some home glory. We'll get Advanced Australia Fair played for him. But we also have our champion of the series, is Raya Osborne. It may have been second place on track today, but it didn't really matter. You almost had the championship clinched, and now you've officially got it. You are the champion of this season. How good does that feel?
Yeah, it feels really good. Coming into this race, I was actually worried because of how the Audi got, taken down in speed before the Bathurst 12-hour. But yeah, it turned out pretty well. I was able to clinch TQ and at least hang on to the second position.
So I see that you are signed up for next season. You're going to be going for a championship defense. How do you think that's going to go? How are you feeling with just a couple of weeks to prepare for next season?
Oh man, it will be very different because I won't be using the Audi this time due to the bad fuel mileage. And then we have rain coming in this next update, so that'll be a big factor. So I don't know. I'll just keep trying my best, and hopefully we can do a repeat.
Going to be very exciting, and we'll see you in just a couple of weeks' time in the All-Star Invitational as well before next season comes along. I'm sure you're very excited for that, so we wish you good luck, and we'll see you in a couple weeks.
Oh yeah, thank you guys very much.
Is Raya Osborne a champion for the first time in the PRL? He is your 2024 Season 1 champion of the GT3 Fix Series. But we're not done, Dylan. We may be done in the Fix Series, but we will have to crown another champion tonight in the GT3 Sprint Series with another race. Put 5 more minutes on the clock, and we'll get going here in just a matter of moments.
Yeah, and this one, it's going to look a little bit closer than it's going to be in actuality when it comes to the Drivers' Championship standings. But we got to Bathurst after 8 prior races, and the gap between the top two, it could not be closer.
So championship standings in the GT3 Sprint Series are a little bit complicated, so bear with me here. Dalton Zavadil is your championship leader right now. He currently has a 1-point lead over Vincent Trepanier. You may think that's going to make the championship very exciting. Well, Dalton Zavadil is here. Vincent Trepanier, unfortunately with his busy schedule as a Quebecois bus driver, he can only find time to go on vacation with his family around this time of the year, so Vincent Trepanier is not here. He's currently in Florida, lounging by the side of a pool, while Dalton Zavadil is here on track. So it's almost a foregone conclusion that Dalton Zavadil will be your champion, but he does have some mathematical competition. Jimmy Yebra, who's won a race this season for the Seabow Racing Team, he's only 24 points behind. Chris Beats, Dalton Zavadil's teammate, is 26 points behind, and Fernando Jaquez is 53 points behind. All 3 of those drivers are in mathematical contention. Jimmy Yebra and Chris Beats, though, they're going to be the real ones to look out for. If they can finish reasonably high, there it is. There it is. We'd love to see it. That's where Vincent Trepanier is right now. Those are not the feet of a champion, unfortunately, though.
I can't believe we're showing dogs out here on your screens.
Yep, those are the feet of a bus driver. They've been doing work. They've been braking and throttling and probably clutching if you're in a city bus. But I do hope Vincent Trepanier is having a good time down there. I hope he's getting some well-deserved rest, and I hope we'll see him next season to fight for a championship, as he really should.
Well, you know what? Sometimes you gotta just let the dogs hang, and that's exactly what he's doing. And hey, at the end of the day, this is a fun competition for most of these drivers. They take it seriously, but it's got to add to their life, right? So vacation time with family, I think that's definitely a good reason to have to not be involved. But we're back here at Bathurst, same cars, just we're going to see different speeds altogether.
And as I was saying, Dalton Zavadil does not have this championship on lock. If he has a bad race, if he crashes, for example, we saw many drivers do that in the Fixed Series race. If he does not complete more than 50% of the laps, he gets 0 points for the day. And all Jimmy Ibra or Chris Beets would need to do is finish higher than about 20th. There's only 18 cars in the field, so that's almost guaranteed. We do have a championship fight in our hands, Dylan, but Mr. Z, Dalton Zavadil, all he has to do to end that championship fight is basically finish the race.
Or, yeah, because you do need to complete a certain percentage of the race to get points awarded for it. It's not just simply a start and park kind of thing. So, hey, just complete it in dead last, if you will. But something tells me that's not really what he's going to go for.
This has been a very good season for Dalton Zavadil, though. He's taken the fight to Vincent Trepanier all season long. He's won more races than anybody else in this series so far this season with 3. Everybody else has won 1 race each, with Trepanier, Ibra, Beets, and Boris Ovando winning the remainder of the races, and Daniel Krasowski as well, for that matter. But Mr. Z has been very, very fast. And I can only imagine he's looking forward to ending this season on a high and going for one more win. He's not going to sit back.
Yeah, might as well. If you've got a chance to win any one race, sometimes drivers view that just as important as a championship. Championships are about consistency. Wins are about domination, or at least close to domination in one particular race. I know in different point systems, maybe one win is worth more than a championship to certain drivers. And here, though, I can see it all being worth the same together.
It's good to see a few drivers back. Daniel Krasowski is back. He's been on sort of a partial season. He's been here for 3 out of the 8 rounds so far, and he did win one of those 3 rounds, though. Simon Theriault is back with us, representing Advanced Motorsports without Vince's teammate Vincent Trepanier with him. Ethan Bass is back. Arnaud Genet is back. JP Alfonso is back. It's good to see quite a few names here finishing out this season here at Bathurst. And who knows what could happen. Could Simon Theriault go for his first win in a GT3 car? Could the Bassmaster Ethan Bass give the Ford a big sign-off and win? Anything's possible. They just need to hope for a little bit of trouble from Zavadil.
Yeah, and it's not like it's not within the realm of possibility as compared to what we saw in the race just a little bit earlier, right? That gap is closer between first and third than it was first and second in the Fixed Series race. So that can lead to some excitement as this race continues to go on.
Zavadil across the line. Is he going to improve and dunk on the rest of the field even more? Looks like the answer is no. He's going to stay at a 2:02.6 and stay at about 2.5 tenths over the rest of the field. You see the only McLaren left in the background, that's Kevin Simpson. You see the only Ford left behind him, that's Ethan Bass as well. I'm a big fan of those 2 cars. I'm happy they're still running in this series. You just saw Jimmy Ibra cross the line for his first lap finally. He's going to be P12 looking for some more time. But I'm a big fan of this car, Dylan. Everybody knows it. Arjuna might not like the Ford, but I am so happy it still exists.
Ford.
Exactly, and I believe this is going to be the swan song of it. Ethan Bass will not be racing this Ford after this season, so we have to enjoy it while we still have it, Dylan. We only have about 45 more minutes with it.
Man, that's upsetting. It's okay, though, right? This is a older car in the iRacing service. It's a part of its legacy, right? It's a part of its legend status. Just don't hit the wall. That was close to hitting the wall, but Ethan Bass has done such a good job of continuing to take this car to new heights in this GT3 Sprint Series. Fun to watch, and God, it looks good too.
And maybe if something goes awry and there's something that makes the Ford more attainable, we could see Ethan Bass back in it. I won't completely eliminate the possibility, but I think we do need to start our grieving process early and get ready to not see this car next season, because I will not be surprised if we don't see it. But he's going to get a good draft here off the back of Kevin Simpson. The Ford, pretty handy in a straight line when it wants to be. and it's got full McLaren draft down this long back straight. This could be a good lap from Ethan Bass. He needs 4/10 to dump Chris Beets out of the top 5, but he's had a full draft to be able to try and do it.
It's going to be pretty exciting, and so far, so good. Coming out of the chase, those 2 corners pretty well. Just one more corner to go. Getting out of the way. This could be a perfect lap for Bass.
Out of the final corner, a little bit wide onto the curb, but can the Bassmaster improve? Yes, he can. He picks up 3/10. He needed 4 more thousandths, though, to dump Chris Beets out of the top 5, and I think that's going to be the end of his day. There's still enough time out on track to get back out there and do one more lap, but unfortunately for the Bassmaster, he's going to be settling for P6. Jimmy Yeaber up to P8. He found 4/10 on that lap. Dalton Zavadil, this is a warm-up lap for him. You saw him warming up those tires down the entire Conrad Straight. He's going to cross the line this time and go for one more lap on the clock to see if he can improve.
Yeah, and goodness me, 14 thousandths away from moving into P4 for Bass. And look at that. Krasowski goes to P2, puts Simon Thoreau down to 3rd. Zavadil is going to have one more shot to improve on his time.
And I think that's why he's still on it. He saw Krasowski. Oh, he sees Krasowski very closely there as he parks it on the mountain straight. His qualifying session's over. But Zavadil may not actually have to push now because Krasowski's not still out there. He's not going to be able to go any faster. It's going to come down to, can Simon Theriault go for pole? Can Boris Ovando pull a pole out of his pocket? Both of those are very possible scenarios. We'll have to wait and see. Zavadil, I believe, is going to be the last driver to cross the line at the end of this session. He's gonna be looking for Simon Theriault right here to not improve. Simon's on the clock now to see if he can find 2.5 tenths.
Yeah, he's going to try and find that, and can't quite see what his sector times are looking like. He's going to get another lap if he wants it, so this is not the end-all, be-all. He's rounding that final corner, drifted a little bit. This is not going to be fast enough for P1, not even fastest time for him overall. It was 2/10 slower.
And Simon's going to be so lonely today. He doesn't have his teammate Vincent Trepanier to talk to. Vincent's too busy having a bon vacation. Is that how you say vacation in French? I have no idea. But that's what Vincent's doing. Vacation?
I just know...
That sounds Spanish, actually.
Didn't the Rugrats go to Paris for vacation?
Maybe.
Wasn't that a thing?
I think so. Vincent Trepanier is in our YouTube chat. He may have to tell us how to say vacation in French.
Je parle français, mais I don't know. Je ne sais pas vacation. How to say vacation.
Une vacation.
Un vacation.
That sounds like a cow, potentially. I might have to break out Google Translate here. We'll see what we can do.
Yeah, Rugrats in Paris.
Nice. We'll see Vincent Trepanier, or not Vincent Trepanier, Dalton Zavadil first and foremost. Mr. Z, his final qualifying lap of the season. Is he going to improve? No, he's not. 2:02.7, 10th slower than his fastest. Doesn't really matter, though. He is on pole, and the only driver who can really realistically challenge him is the driver coming down the mountain right now. Simon Theriault needs to find 2.5 tenths to see if he can do it. Getting very close to the concrete.
Oh, man, he is getting as close as you could possibly get. Was there a bit of an overcorrection there coming down to Forest Elbow? It looks like he went a little bit wide. I wonder if that's going to hurt his time here coming down this straightaway.
Vacation in French, by the way, vacances. I knew that. There's a song by Philippe Catherine that has vacances. I should have known that. Translates to like holiday technically, but I'll keep that in my mind. I won't forget about that because if Simon Theriault puts it on pole, it's going to be a very, very bon vacances for him. Out of the chase, hopping that curb just a little bit, and one more 90-degree corner to go. The clock is looking halfway decent, but is the lap time going to look decent? Out of the final corner, very wide onto the grass, and I think that's going to scupper any momentum he had. It's going to be a 2:03.3, no improvement for Theriault. He'll start from P3.
Well, listen, race is different. It's going to be fun to see what exactly happens here at Mount Panorama. Man, so exciting to get a win here. And Fenton obviously had a little bit of glory in his home country just a few minutes ago. We'll see if any other drivers, maybe not from Australia, are still able to dominate the mountain.
Everybody's going to be filing into this turn one in just a matter of moments, but qualifying is not technically to an end, actually. Jimmy Yebra is still out on track trying to get some glory for himself. I believe he just crossed the line, and I don't know if there was any improvement from him, but there are still the 50 seconds of cooldown in qualifying. That's going to get cut off now because Jimmy Yebra has very kindly parked it and come back to the pits. And we will get to take us to the grid here in just a matter of moments, Dylan. No real surprises, though, as not much changed since the dying seconds of qualifying. It'll be Dalton Zavadil on pole for SimCity Racing, trying to solidify his championship. Daniel Krasowski, he's just trying to solidify a second race win. Simon Tirio's looking for his first race win. Boris Ovando's looking for his second win of the season. Chris Beats starts P5, and the Ethan Bass, the Bassmaster in the Ford, will start from P6, one of the best qualifyings he's had in that Ford pretty much ever. It's all CRT on row 4, Fernando Jaquez and Jimmy Yebra, and then David Mendonça and Martin Crisp round out the top 10. Arnaud Genet is back in the field. He starts P11 alongside another SimCity Racing driver, Jason Allen. But the hits keep on coming. His unlucky 13th in qualifying went to JP Alfonso. He had a good day in an LMP3 car last night. He starts alongside his teammate Kwok Nin. Then it's Simpson in the McLaren, Littleton in the Ferrari, Sosno in the BMW, and Desjardins in the Porsche, rounding out the top 18. 18-car grid in the GT3 Sprint Series. A little bit shorter than we're used to in this series, but it's going to be a competition all the way to the end, Dylan. And I can't wait to get 40 more minutes of Bathurst going here in just a matter of moments.
Yep, it's going to be a little bit of chaos, but we didn't see that much in the start of the previous race with double the contenders, double the cars. You never know, though. We saw a 12-car field in Formula D action at Bathurst turn in the 7 real quick on lap 1, heading up the mountain. I feel like these drivers are going to be a little bit more respectful of each other's competition. The only question is, with Jimmy Yebra being back in P8, needing to make up some moves and positions really quickly, is he going to be one of those championship contenders we have seen so often in tonight's action spin it on his own or make a mistake because he's trying so hard?
Nope, Dalton Zavadil is there. I got a little bit scared there. I thought Dalton Zavadil was missing from the grid, but no, he just got such an excellent jump on the Porsche pace car that he was still on screen. But I'm going to put you on the spot here, Dylan. One word answer. Who is going to win this race tonight?
I'm going to say it's going to be Zavadil. I just don't see anything from anybody else except for Krasowski's time in qualifying that could prove differently. Zavadil has just been so good this year and continues to show why he's going to potentially win the championship.
Dylan has endorsed Dalton, and Dalton takes control of the field. Can he go for his 4th win of the season? Green flag is out at Bathurst for the final time, and there's already a wreck on the front straight. Trouble in the back of the field. I think that was Ethan Bass in the Ford getting into trouble with Fernando Jaquez. Disaster for the Bassmaster. Jaquez involved as well. That's big for the Seabow Racing team. 15 other drivers file into turn 1, but you're missing a Ford and you're missing a Porsche.
That's so sad. The last ever race for Ford, and it ends in disaster before it even got started. That's just naughty right there. Flag is being waved. You can't pass before you get to that start-finish line. Oh, man. I'd like to see that angle from behind it. It just seemed like too eager.
That's so unfortunate for the Bassmaster. The best qualifying I think he's ever had in that Ford, or at least one of the best qualifyings he's ever had in that Ford. And it ends in tears, literally, before the race even started. Didn't even make it to the start-finish line. Terrible luck for him. I hope we see him back out on track if he's able to tow back to the pits. But we do have to look back up front because everybody else did make it through cleanly. Dalton Zavadil still leads over Daniel Krasowski. Simon Tirio in 3rd. It's all stratified one by one, all the way back to Dmitry Sosno in 15th. But Krasowski is hunting down Dalton Zavadil and making sure he doesn't run too far away.
Man, Zavadil is going to have to be so steadfast with his mentality here. It's hard, right? It's really difficult to see in your rearview mirror so many drivers who are just as fast right in behind, but this is what separates the champions from the drivers who finish second and on back. They're just strong mentally. And we'll see coming into the chase, 37, not able to do anything, not able to make a move. This is just good racing here at front.
Savadil a little bit wide through the first part of the chase, though. This is a driver who's still definitely pushing, but he's going to survive lap 1 in control out of the final corner. 38 minutes to go. That's going to add up to likely about 18 or 19 laps till the end of this race, which doesn't sound like a lot, Dylan, but it is a lot of corners. It is a lot of mental fortitude you're going to need to keep this thing going with the pressure of Daniel Krasowski behind you for 38 more minutes. And look at Ethan Bass back there. He's got the best view in the race.
Oh, Ethan Bass. He decided to go down into turn 1. That car is crab walking right there. It looks like a toe link is broken on a NASCAR Cup Series car. He said, I don't care. I'm going to get the best view you can possibly get. Wow.
Does he make it? He will make it to turn 1, but my question is, was he able to turn once he got there? Here we go. I don't think that car is ever going to turn left again.
Wait.
Oh, yes, it is. A little bit of a flick spin.
That was smooth. That was really smooth.
Good stuff. And then he gets,
flick, right?
he says, you know what? I'm actually really curious. I wonder who's winning this race right now. And there you go. you get a first-hand view.
Imagine if someone went straight off right here.
That would have been tragic.
And then they'd actually have a good argument as to why is there a car on the outside of this corner.
I was just trying to watch.
Oh, man. You want
I used to do that
limits?
in the old F1 games if I was having a bad race.
Too.
And I was like a lap down, just park on the side of the track, find a good spectator spot, and watch the rest of the race.
Especially when you're in VR. Just go into the stands, kind of like, you know, with a lot of jank. Just find yourself in the stands and watch it that way.
Bad news for Kwok Nin fans. I think he's got himself into a little bit of bother. Loses P11 to Jeremy Littleton, but he's got back going, and he's still pointed in a straight line, so I don't think that was anything too bad. There is Kwok in his Audi, behind a Ferrari now, which is not what he would have liked to see right now.
Yeah, not at all. But, you know, there's still lots of time to get a move done here for Kwok, and he's going to have to try and deal with Littleton. He almost seems a little bit slower than Kwok Nin, and we'll see if that's the case. There's a big gap between Allen and P10 and Littleton, so this is a battle for just outside that top 10 spot. Only 15 drivers still on track.
And you want to talk about a driver who races everything there is to race in the PRL? Kwok Nin. I think every type of racing on a road course you can find in the PRL he's done. He's done LMP3, he's done GT3, he's done other prototypes, he's done open wheel competition. I think the one thing we need now is we need to get Kwok Nin in an oval somehow and see how he fares there.
That would be awesome. I'm a fan of that. I'm a fan.
Where would we take him, though? Where would he race? Quockingham?
Joey.
I think he'd be good there.
Joey.
Michigan? I think only 2. I think I'm out of syllables.
I'm just kind of disappointed.
As you should.
You know, it's not usual that I get disappointed by a pun.
When you've got a one-syllable name, either your first or your last name, you're just leaving yourself open to pun opportunities. That's all we can do.
I'm going to say our no to you is we were just
I think our no has actually said our no to me before, as he is the lead driver steward of the PRL, and in my foray in open wheel in the PRL, I got in some trouble. We may have some trouble here. Boris Ovando versus Chris Beets. No trouble just yet, but Beets a little bit wide through the chase. Boris is going to look to the outside into the final corner. It is a battle of the primary colors here, blue versus green. Ovando's not late enough on the brakes, though, to make it happen into the final corner.
Oh, but look at that. He's going to try a crossover a little bit too late on the brakes right there for the 33 of Beets. Ovando wasn't able to capitalize, though. I'm surprised he didn't get a better run coming out of that final corner.
And if there's any artists in chat, by the way, they're going to be yelling at me because green isn't a primary color. Why did I say that? It's a secondary color. Blue and yellow.
Care. I really don't care, though.
What a disaster.
You are putting a disaster class, a master class in disaster class.
Exactly. The artists are going to be coming for me. But Boris still coming for Chris Beets. These two guys have won races so far this season, so they're just competing for a little bit of glory right now. Boris has been racing in the GTP series as well. He's got a win there just a couple of weeks ago, but he wants a podium. He's not happy to race in 5th place. This is a guy who's won many, many times in the PRL, and he's aggressive. He's aggressive when he wants to be.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, Ovando is right on that gearbox of Chris Beets. It's quite impressive that even with the dirty air going up through the mountain, he's been able to stay right in line. And speaking about line, you go over Skyline into the bottom of the mountain, and I mean, Beets is under pressure right now, and Ovando has him in his sights. Depending on this run at a Forest Elbow, it could be side by side going into the chase.
And the thing that's changed between the GT3 Fix series and this series is not just the 5 minutes that have been added to the clock, but this is also an open setup series. You can decide the setup for yourself. You can decide if you want to reward yourself in the straight lines or if you want some more downforce to make your run up over the top of the mountain more successful. I think Boris Ovando has gone for a slightly lower downforce setup because he's very fast in a straight line. It hasn't done him well enough into the chase this time, but that is one of the things that makes this series very exciting. You don't have identical cars all throughout the field.
Yeah, and it's not even just identical cars over the course of a Porsche and a Porsche or whatever two manufacturers. It's those setups are different, so that's going to make it more fun for some of these drivers. Personally, Joey, I'm not really a gearhead, so I can't say I would know what my changes would really be doing at the end of the day. You know, I'm always the guy asking around the Colleague Racing shop, hey, what are you doing? So what's that do? Cool.
As long as you have a steering wheel and pedals,
yeah,
that's what makes you happy. That's what makes me happy. That's all I need.
Side by side. How about that?
Need a little bit of this too. Quack and Jeremy, the Audi, very fast in a straight line, and he's got his teammate JP Alfonso behind him trying to follow him through, but Littleton later on the brakes bonks Quack out of the way, and Alfonso's going to get through for P12. A little bit of argy-bargy means Littleton stays ahead, and Quack's actually got a battle with Kevin Simpson now coming up through the cutting. Simpson gets him as well.
What great racing action here going through the cutting. It's hard to make a move stick, especially if you're on the inside. If you're on the inside in the cutting and you don't get clear going up through the mountain, you're going to really have a hard time with those couple right-handers. It gets really fast throughout this section, the middle of the mountain, and goodness me, you don't want to be side-by-side here at all. I mean, hey, if there's no one in front of you and there's no one you're trying to chase past the guy you're trying to go side-by-side with, always go side-by-side because you're coming with me if we're going slow.
And by the way, remember when I talked about his Raya Osborne and his success in RC racing before he moved into iRacing? Jeremy Littleton has similar experience. He's also an RC racer and an RC flyer, for that matter, in his free time. So you need very fine hand controls. That you need fine motor skills to do that. And I guess Jeremy Littleton and his Raya Osborne are teaching us that if you know an RC racer or an RC flyer somewhere, tell them to get into iRacing. They'll be pretty good.
Well, you know, I feel like, you know, we're talking about RC racing and iRacing and everything like that. However, when I walked into the shop today and people were talking about my massive save in a RaceSpotTV broadcasted race on Real Sim Racing from last night, yeah, that was the talk of the shop. But you know, I had some drivers telling me that was a wheelman right there. So, you know, do skills translate? I don't know. You'll have to ask my NASCAR racing experience instructor.
So when are we going to get you into the PRL, Dylan? That's the real question.
Oh, goodness. I've actually never thought about joining the PRL, but
the Cup Series, any of the road course series.
I do like announcing, though. You know, I would probably do a road racing series just to see if I can do it. I probably wouldn't. I'd probably be at the very tail end of the field. I'd be where Ethan Bass is. Positionally, I wouldn't be dead last, but I would be
wrecked out.
Yes.
Wrecked out, but just not the first driver to wreck out.
Correct. I'd be in the same wreck, the first wreck, but just got a little bit farther ahead before I towed.
I mean, you've commentated on me in the Grand National Series, Dylan. I think
have.
You know that it has not gone much better for me so far.
Well, you know what? I'm currently sitting in a playoff spot after 2 races in RSR competition. I should have been in the top 10 if it wasn't for a wreck in Daytona that took me out of it. That I don't even want to talk about that. I wasn't even involved big time, and it gave me 8 minutes of damage. But that's besides the point. Man, that would be interesting. You and me on a team.
You never know. You never know what can happen.
You never know.
Especially with the addition of rain next season, that's going to shuffle everything up. You never know what can happen. These cars will get rain support. The prototypes in the GTP and LMP2 IMSA series, they'll get rain support, and a couple open wheel cars with the Formula 4 car and the Formula 1600 car and the GR86. There's going to be all sorts of fun possibilities next season.
This is true.
Not all of them in the PRL. I think only a couple of those cars I mentioned do have PRL series, but there will be rain, and I think we all know that next Wednesday when this drops, we're all going to be out there. We're all going to be flailing around and sliding as much as we can.
Where's my oval rain delays?
Exactly. Not even rain delays. I want full wet Kansas, just for the heck of it.
Well, can we technically do wet Martinsville or North Wilkesboro?
Maybe in the future. I don't think that's been added yet, and I know that only road courses will have rain abilities right now.
Well, hey, they were testing out wet tires at Bristol, you know?
And we had a wet, in quotation marks, race at Martinsville last year, even though it was totally dry and they wore out the rain tires anyway. But we never know.
Which race are you talking about? Trucks?
I don't even remember which one. It was.
Well, there was a truly.
It was either Martinsville 1 or Martinsville 2, where it was like.
Martinsville 1 had a really wet truck race.
And I think there was maybe it was Martinsville 2. I don't remember exactly. I should too. You know, I work in NASCAR. I should know. It's 2023. That's in the past already.
Yeah, that's true.
All of my 2023 knowledge has already been forgotten after January 1st.
Yeah, I just woke up January 1st, 2024, and I had to relearn your name, Joey.
You too, Dalton?
Interesting bands. Zavadil?
Maybe.
P1?
You could actually take credit for that. Dalton Zavadil is probably not Dylan Coyle, but he may want to take credit for that because he's having a pretty good day so far. He had a challenge from Daniel Krasowski on lap 1, basically, but in the following 15 minutes, he's had no challenge whatsoever. He's only been pulling this gap, and he's now nursing almost a second and a half over his closest rival. It's a pretty comfortable position.
I will say Krasowski is doing a good job of just keeping him honest, kind of like what we saw from William Fenson for most of that opening part of the race last time out in the fixed series. And we are within that realm of, hey, you had too much fuel, and all of a sudden Krasowski's in P1, Zavadil is in P2. Keeping him honest is the best thing you can possibly do right now. After that pit stop, that's when you kind of have to maybe make a move and figure it out on your own.
Simon Theriault still in third there at the back of your screen. Unfortunately, this is going to be a pretty lazy race for the majority of the field. There has been trouble, though, a little bit further back. I think JP Alfonso and Kwok Nin, I don't know if those were scheduled pit stops for those two. I saw them falling down the order a little bit before they came into the pits, but I think the fact that they're leaving fairly straightforwardly means these were actually scheduled pit stops. No damage, no trouble for these guys. The Vaporworks drivers, Kwok Nin and JP Alfonso, they're teaming up. They're going off strategy to see what they can do.
Yeah, and hey, I don't mind that. You will get the benefit of the draft down these big straightaways, so it's not necessarily a bad idea. Any dirty air that you'll face and you'll deal with is mostly around the top of the mountain, but at that point, you're still kind of just trying to figure out your way without any of the air. You're trying to keep that car planted as much as possible, and I don't feel like the dirty air is going to be as much of a deterrent as the advantages of having a slipstream down right here.
Arnaud Genet's probably having a pretty frustrating race because he's got Martin Crisp in front of him, who is a very, very difficult driver to pass. He's very fast and can be very defensive. He's got Jason Allen behind him as well, one of the team owners of SimCity Racing, who's just constantly in his mirrors, letting him know that if he makes one mistake, he's going to be going back even more spots, and he may be losing out another SimCity Racing position. He was later on the brakes there, though, into the chase. That Ferrari definitely strong in the braking zones, but just not strong in the places where it needs to be strong against the Porsche of Martin Crisp.
Yeah, and that's the one problem, but also the one advantage we get of watching GT3 racing, the different strengths and advantages, disadvantages of each vehicle. This is really pure sports car racing right here with these two cars battling it out and trying to just negotiate the corners together. You know, it's kind of a Porsche sandwich with the Ferrari in between.
It's a good run for Arnaud here, though. He may be able to peek a nose to the inside, but he thinks better of it. Not far enough alongside Martin Crisp to go for a move this time. I'm looking forward to seeing Martin Crisp next season as well. I haven't actually seen if he's signed up, and I'm going to check that right now on the side of my screen. Yes, he is. Crisp will be back next season. And judging by the drivers who have signed up so far, I think he might actually be a championship favorite, because where you see him right now in P8 is not normally where he is. This is a guy who has fought for wins, who has won a race in the PRL before. I think he's definitely going to be a driver to look out for next season.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I feel like once you kind of get a restart, because it is a longer break than most between, you know, season 4 and season 1 of each PRL year. And with this year kind of changing the amount of races in each season from 10 to 9, and it just kind of being weird with the Christmas break, it gets you out of a rhythm. Things can change very quickly, though. This time in a couple weeks when season 2 starts, that might be really beneficial, as this is a good run right here for Janae. He actually was gaining, and he still is. Not close enough, though, in the chase.
No, it's not looking good for him just yet. We're almost to halfway in this race still, and so we do have to start thinking about pit stops. It's not just Kwok Nin and JP Alfonso. It's going to be the whole rest of the field who's going to start thinking about that. And I do wonder, if you're Arnaud Genet and you're stuck in traffic right now, do you think about potentially coming down a little bit earlier, getting in clean air, and trying to make the pass that way? He's not thinking about it this lap, but he may be thinking about that soon.
Yeah, could totally be an idea where you come in now, right? If you take fuel right now, you've lasted almost halfway through the race. You're going to have enough fuel to make it to the end of the race if you fill up from this point on. So it's not a bad idea, especially if you're P3 in this battle, like Alan is, to go into the pits and try to get away from kind of these guys, you know?
Unfortunately, we have just seen from Vincent Trepanier in the chat that he's also going to be missing next season, because just like Justin Ream in the GT4 series last night, he has to focus on the Porsche series, the Canadian Porsche competition, whatever PESC Canada acronym they're going for this season. He's going for some big stuff.
Yeah, no, for sure. And trying to get that done here at Bathurst is not easy, as we get a picture-in-picture.
Ford cam.
No, Ethan Bass is doing this for the fans, doing it for the plot right now. He's back out here. Looks good.
7 laps down, but who cares? He is going to get every lap out of this Ford that he can.
And I think he is the commentator's favorite from this one. You know, 16th. You always get one, right? A favorite of either the announcers or the crowd.